Every talking head seems like they've got question marks about Alabama's defensive line and their pass rush in 2025. I'm going to tell you why it's more of an exclamation point. Stick around. This is Way Offsides. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whatever the case may be. Welcome to Way Offsides. Happy Easter. I'm recording this on Easter. So if you celebrate Easter, happy Easter. Your boy was at the beach this morning, so don't mind the red face. Us light-skinned folks, we don't do well with the sun. That's okay. I'm going to be fine. It'll turn brown. Let me know in the comment section, you guys, like what SPF do you use? I need to know because I need to take better care of my skin. I'm getting older, and I just need to do a better job. There's no reason I should be lobstering it up, right? It's not good for me. I know that. I know that. Anyway, that's not why you're here. You're here to talk about Alabama's 2025 defense. We all know, and the expectation is high for Alabama's 2025 defense under Kane Womack. If you follow the show for a long time, last year the question mark going into the season was the secondary. Alabama lost so much, and everybody was wondering how the secondary was going to manage being as young as it was. And it did fine. It did exactly what we said it was going to do. Took a few games for them to kind of get their feet wet and get things underneath of them and gain an understanding. And then they got stronger as the season went on. Now, something that Alabama lacked last season, as opposed to seasons past, was a premier pass rush. It's not to say that they weren't good at pressuring the quarterback. They absolutely were good at pressuring the quarterback in 2024. They just didn't finish. They didn't finish a lot of the time. And that created a lot of frustration for people because in some games, the Vanderbilt game, for instance, it was pretty difficult for Alabama to get off the field on third down because, yes, they were getting to these quarterbacks and affecting these quarterbacks, but they could not get them off of the field. So that has become the question mark in the offseason going into 2025, especially because Alabama doesn't seem to have that premier third down guy like they've had in the past. Alabama, much like every other position, quarterback, wide receiver, they've had a long history of really good defensive ends or guys who can finish once they get to the quarterback, specifically on third down. You all know the names, Dallas Turner, Will Anderson, Tim Williams. A lot of the quarterback pressures last year early in the season came from Jihad Campbell, who played like a madman in 2024. Like the guy was, I went back and watched some film on Alabama's 2024 defense to talk about this video. And that's really what just stuck out to me defensively was Jihad Campbell. He was good at pressuring the quarterback. He was good laterally from sideline to sideline. The guy was crazy, but he's gone. So where's the pressure going to come from? Who's going to step up? Who's going to be that guy in 2025? Who's going to be the one that gets in there and gets that stop on third down? I'm going to tell you. Nothing to worry about. You're here with Uncle Cotton. And so we got it for you. So let's break this down. Let's talk about this defense going into 2025, specifically defensive line and the pass rush. Alabama returns a couple of starters. The most notable to me being Tim Keenan III. Now, Keenan was pretty active in quarterback pressures last season. He did not finish a lot of the times, though. And I think some of that was maybe his weight, but he slimmed down a little bit, is my understanding. I haven't seen him in person yet. But so we expect big things from him when it comes to finishing, because we all know he can get pressure on the quarterback. He did it pretty consistently last year. But the name that I want you to watch that comes right behind him at that defensive tackle position is James Smith. James Smith turned it on late in the season in 2024, the 5-star out of Montgomery, and he showed flashes of being Alabama's next great one. Now, on top of that, at the defensive tackle position, you've got a couple of returning contributors, Edric Hill, Jeremiah Beeman, who I'm really, really high on. And so Alabama's doing okay there at the tackle position. They've also brought in some new players, the JUCO transfer, the Canadian, I forgot his name. I'm so sorry. I'm underprepared. I failed you. Anyway, somebody put it in the comment section for me. I remember his name, but I'll butcher it if I try to pronounce it, so I'm not going to. The most exciting guy that Alabama brought in probably is Kelby Collins out of Florida. I'm really excited about Kelby Collins at that bandit position, right? He's going to be working with guys like Keon Keeley, LT Overton, who we know LT Overton. He can do some things, man. He can really do some things. I believe he had a couple of sacks last season, 42 tackles. The guy, I think he got a pretty good bit of quarterback pressure too. And so in Womack's scheme, we all know how important that bandit position is. And I think Kelby Collins, this transfer out of the University of Florida, is going to fit in perfectly at Alabama and really complement that rotation, because that's really what we're looking for. I think that's what Alabama lacked a little bit of last year. They weren't necessarily rotating like we would see Nick Saban do, always getting fresh guys in there. But, the game's changed a little bit, so it makes it a little bit more difficult to do that. Now, let's talk about some other positions that could help when it comes to pressuring the quarterback, and that position group is going to be your Wolf group. It's going to be led by Quay Russaw, I believe, and Jamarian Latham. Those are your returning guys. Those are your guys that have a lot of experience. I think Russaw is a raw talent that could be a lot like a Jihad Campbell moving forward. But then you've got a couple of guys behind him that are just insane. Yanze Pierre, that's somebody that, folks, I know I've got all the respect in the world for Clint Lamb. I absolutely love Clint Lamb. Probably one of the best guys to break this defense down for you. So when you're done here, after you hit the subscribe button, go over there and follow Clint. Tell him Cotton from Way Offside sent you. But Yanze Pierre is going to be somebody to watch. He's going to potentially be that breakout guy defensively at the Wolf position. Now, what I like about what Kane Womack does is he uses these bandits and these Wolves. He uses them in a hybrid fashion. It's almost like a linebacker, a defensive end. They can drop into coverage. We saw Jihad Campbell drop into coverage sometimes last year. But I really like what he started to do later on in the season with these positions in terms of using them in unique pressure situations. We saw that kind of engage 8 type deal a couple of times last year, and that's risky. We all know that's risky. You get burned on engage 8, you're probably looking at 6 points on the scoreboard. But I think with what Kane Womack has at his disposal this year, he showed last year that he could understand what the traditional Alabama defense is supposed to do in terms of pressuring the quarterback, stopping the run, and turnovers. We saw Alabama get better at that week in and week out. The only times the defense wasn't consistent is when the offense couldn't sustain a drive and the guys were just wore out. Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, right? So in saying all that, those are going to be your main guys. Those are going to be the main guys that work in terms of getting pressure on the quarterback. But Alabama, even with Jihad Campbell leaving, does return an impressive group of linebackers. Deontay Lawson is the headliner. The guy's potential first rounder. Justin Jefferson's a guy I absolutely love. I feel like the turning point in the Tennessee game last year was when Jefferson went out. And then you've got Noah Carter. That's another guy, Caden Jones, I'm really excited about. But you also have got some new players that are coming in. They're either transfers or this 2025 recruiting class, which I think, they had some great offensive line recruits. They had some great DBs. I think was really highlighted by guys like Abdul Sanders, Luke Metz, Duke Johnson. And so Justin Hill, I think Alabama, they're young at the linebacker position, but they're stacked. And then obviously Hill Green, the transfer. Alabama could potentially use these guys to kind of do mop-up duty in terms of getting to the quarterback. The SEC, we're going to see a lot of mobile quarterbacks, a lot of quarterbacks that roll out of the pocket. We're going to see Diego Pavia again. So you want guys who can get in there and clean up after your bigs flush the pocket. In saying all this, what's the expectation, Cotton? First of all, I want to hear what your thoughts are. What's your expectation for Alabama's defensive line? Because I feel like for a lot of folks, it is a concern moving into the 2025 season. I don't think it's as much of a concern as the linebacking core, just because of the youth aspect in the linebacking core. I think there's leadership on the defensive line. Keenan, LT Overton. I think that those guys are going to James Smith. Those guys are going to provide that oversight and that discipline that these younger guys coming up, they're going to benefit from, right? And so I'm not as concerned with the defensive line as I am maybe for the linebackers. You know, the idea is, I believe Alabama finished with like 25 sacks last year, which isn't bad. It's nothing to sneeze at. But I would imagine if you go back and watch the tape, you see Keenan getting so many pressures and he doesn't clean them up. He doesn't finish them. Alabama's going to want to build on that, right? Moving forward. Him and Overton, you know, they're going to mentor these young guys who are going to also help do the same thing. And I think that Alabama fans in general now have a more foundational faith in Kane Womack, the guy, you know, that came up from South Alabama, to be able to lead this defense and do what it needs to do moving forward. Alabama's going to be fine. We'll see what it rolls out. It may be a very similar situation to the secondary last year. It may take a couple of weeks for them to get their bearings, but once they do, look out. While I've got you here, do me a favor. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, talk to me, tell me stuff. I like to read your comments after, you know, a day or two after this video is posted. We'll reply to comments. And then we have a live show coming up Thursday, so the best comments are going to be featured on there. And J-Bake usually wins this. If you guys haven't been in the live and don't know who J-Bake is, he's one of our most loyal viewers. And so you want to beat J-Bake. Beat him. I invite you to destroy him. Get your comments in so that we can highlight your comments on Thursday's show. As well, you guys know the drill. If you are a creator or somebody who is working on a blog, another sports podcast, you're a photographer, anything like that, we would love to talk to you about the Way Offside Sports Network. This is a network of collaborative human beings who all have a similar passion in sharing their brands and growing those brands together through cohesion and collaboration. The Way Offsides Network. We put you up on our website, things like that. We love some blog writers. So if that's something you're interested in, please reach out to us at Way Offsides. That's with 4 A's, never 3, never 5, always 4. 3's not enough, 5's too many. 4, just like in the word Alabama. So that's going to do it for today. Be sure to leave a comment. Tell me what you think. How'd we do? Who'd we miss? Who's the person you're looking for? I need you to know. You guys educate me a lot. There's stuff I miss. There's things I don't get. And tell me if you're liking this Cotton Time segment too. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Should we scrub it? Does it need to be me and somebody else? Do you like just hearing me ramble with pretty graphics on the screen? You guys know the drill. I hope you're enjoying your Easter. And as always, say your prayers, read your Bibles, wash your hands, horns down, beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too. Roll Tide.